we both have our light square bishops on the back rank, but I have more space. I have this bishop in his position, and I get to launch my queen side, my flank pawns first at him. I desperately tried to attack my opponent, but it wasn't quite so easy. This is round 3 of the Frederick Showdown, and I'm playing against Merrick, a Frederick local, a really nice guy. And last time I played him, I blundered an exchange, and then he blundered a piece back, and then I ended up converting that, and it was an absolute mess. It was one of the worst games I've ever won, and now I'm playing him again. And the opening for me went badly. I played e4 in that game. E4. But so this time I was like, I'm going to change it up. I want to play knight f3. I'm playing it online some. Might as well play it over the board against him. And he played g6. And the biggest downside of a move like g6 is that it does not control the center at all. Knight f3, it controls the center. He can't play e5. So he played g6, so I was going to play e4. I could definitely stick to Fianchettoing and not controlling the center with a pawn. I could definitely consider d4 or c4. Like, all moves are good here. All moves are good. But I decided to play e4, and I'm going to play d4 next. And I still play d4. So he plays c5, so I can't have 2 pawns in the center, but I say I don't care. I'm going to play d4. And now it really is just a Sicilian defense with like knight f3 and d4. But in this case, I'm playing this very aggressively by bringing my queen out early, attacking his rook in the corner, but allowing my queen to get kicked out of the position a little bit later on. So he plays knight f6. I could consider playing e5, except I think it's bad. I forgot why it's bad. Maybe just knight c6 and after queen a4, like knight d5. And it's not super clear that this is bad for black, because like this knight on d5 is going to go back to b6 and attack the queen again, which is not good. And where else do I move my queen? Like maybe I can go to d3 or back to d1, but it's not good. But I could play e5, but I don't think it's very good. I played knight c3, just developing my knights, and he plays knight c6, and I move my queen over. And one of the ideas in this opening is that I want to play e5, kicking this knight, and with this knight on c3, I do control the d5 square. So if we just play a move like bishop g7, I can play e5 now, and this knight has no forward moves at all. If he goes here, I actually trap his knight on the edge of the board here. So you have to go back to g8. So that's one of the ideas. And one of the ways to stop e5 is play d6. And that would allow me to play, but I can still play e5 though, utilizing this pin, and I could, something like this could occur. So I've seen this position before. So this was what I was hoping for. It's just a normal opening position, but I win the bishop pair early on. Instead of controlling e5 with the pawn, he plays queen c7, controlling e5 this way. And my alarm was going off a little bit because I'm like this isn't normal. Like that's not, I haven't seen this move before. I wasn't exactly sure, even though I haven't seen it, I wasn't exactly sure how to play against it. One downside of this move is that my knight on b5, my knight can go to b5 or d5, attacking the queen. But I couldn't really see a good way to utilize that fact. Like knight b5, of course, if he does a bad move like queen a5, then I can fork him. But like he's probably gonna go back to either d8 or b8, and then he's gonna kick my knight out with a6. And I had a hard time justifying this. I was like, this doesn't look that good. I'm not very convinced. Another thing I thought about was like, okay, well maybe like e5, giving up the pawn, but then pinning the knight to the queen. But I was like, I'm not 100% sure about this either. Looking at it now, it actually doesn't look that bad. One thing that I forgot about was that this queen pins the d7 pawn to the king. Like, maybe actually e5 immediately sacrificing the pawn was actually good. Although, no, it's actually bad because of knight d3 check. And after I take, he takes... Oh, wait! The bishop's guarded by the queen! Oh my gosh, wait, hold up. Was e5 actually good? He could take with check here. Double up my pawns. and he's still up a pawn. But it's not so easy. Like if he goes like queen b6, for example, then maybe knight b5. Yeah, maybe knight b5 here. And he can't play d6 because of double check. Yeah, it's not easy. If you go queen e6, that doesn't solve any of the problems because there's still a fork at the end. Probably knight d5, I guess. Knight d5, but maybe c4. And you cannot take the bishop because it's I'm winning your queen. So wait, it's actually not so easy. I actually completely missed this idea of giving up the pawn anyways. And like, well, the main thing I missed was the fact that this pawn on d7 was pinned. He could go knight g4 to defend his knight, but it's giving, like, remember the first game of this tournament where my opponent had knights on e5 and g4 and his position was very loose? It's the exact same thing here. Like probably h3 might be okay. And what would he actually do here? Once again, he could do this, but now his queen's hanging and his knight's hanging, which would just be bad. He could go back, and maybe I can just go castles with bishop g7. I don't quite see it. Knight d5, queen b8. This pin looks annoying, but I don't know if I can actually take advantage of it. At the very least, it's very hard for him to move. And this still might be a very good position for me, but it's complicated. E5 would have been a very, very interesting move. And by the way, the time control for this game is game in 30, increment 5. And this is a no engine recap until the very end. So I have not seen what the engine has to say about my game. But at the end, I'll go through it, and it'll be a fun time. Okay, so yeah, I think I missed this idea of e5. I think it could have been good. Instead, I played bishop d2, which I gave a question mark. So these annotations, they're not from the game review. It's from me. I think this was a bad move. I think, like we just talked about, e5 might be better if it works. As long as it works, it might be better. And another move I think is better is bishop g5, actually. Because they're so... How should I put this? So if after bishop g5, if he plays bishop g7, just continuing development, I can castle, and if he castles, I can play knight d5. And the main point is that this bishop on e5 on g5 attacks his pawn on e7. So if he takes, then I can take, and his knight is forced to move, and I can take this pawn on e7 and even play d6. Like, that's the main point. That is the main point. And if he spends a tempo playing a move like e6, it's really ugly. It's really, really ugly. Probably here I can play the move knight b5, because e6 has weakened the d6 square, and after the queen moves, my rook and knight both control the square, and he can no longer castle. And this is bad news bears for him. I can even play e5 here, and he's getting absolutely crushed. Actually, he's just losing a piece. So he can't play e6. And if he plays a move like h6, so also, what about one move earlier? What about e6 now? Well, same thing. Probably still castles anyways. And if you try to go here, I still want to go knight b5. I have to like queen b8 or something like that. Then e5, and if takes, queen takes. Honestly, is bishop h6 at a minimum? I maybe even after bishop e7, I have bishop h6. Maybe even just now too. Point is, white has a lot of options. So I think bishop g5 was significantly better. But I just played a bit too passively. And I thought for a few minutes on this move, I think. Yeah, I thought for at least 5 minutes on this move. Maybe 4 or 3 minutes. I had 24 minutes after this move. And I think I made all the other moves instantly. So I thought for a while on this move. And it just wasn't good. I was calculating knight b5, knight d5. And I thought about bishop e3, I thought about bishop g5, and I just settled on bishop d2. Bishop e3 is probably not bad. I just don't like how in some variations, like knight g4 comes with tempo, and I don't want to lose this bishop. So, but bishop e3 was probably fine too. I play a bad move, bishop d2, bad move. Already, I think my advantage is gone. But anyways, doesn't matter. Bishop g7. We both castle. There's still a lot of chess left to play. And now I decide to play very forcefully and play knight d5. So I had a hard time coming up with a plan in this position. So I thought for a while on this move too. I guess technically only a minute. But before playing bishop d2, I was calculating this. Because I need to act fast, or else his attack is going to break through before mine. And couldn't really figure it out. Like I was thinking about h4. h4 might not be bad. It probably isn't bad. But like maybe you could play the move h6. Maybe he could even ignore and play d6. And if I play h5, like I have to really commit to sacrificing the rook here. And my queen's on the other side of the board, and I'm just not 100% convinced about his king. Like my pieces aren't adequately prepared to attack him. Like if this bishop was on b3 and this queen was on like h2 or something like that, maybe we have a different story here. But here, my pawns aren't really that great, and I'm not really convinced about this position at all. So I was really confused about how I should continue. But so my idea was very forceful. Let's play knight d5, force attacking both the knight and the queen. And once again, if this bishop was on g5, knight d5 is so much more potent because the bishop sees the pawn on e7. So it's very much more important. But with bishop on d2, not nearly as good. Still might be the best move, but I'm not sure. And we trade. He brings his knight to e5, and we trade again. And I play h4. Well, I play bishop h6, I guess. But h4 is soon to come. He could play bishop g7 if he wants to and just trade bishops. I don't think that's bad for him. But he decides to play rook d8. Like usually black wants to keep their dark squared bishop in a Sicilian, dragon. But it probably would have been okay if he traded. And it definitely feels like I'm kind of in his position first. We both have our light squared bishops on the back rank, but I have more space. I have this bishop in his position, and I get to launch my queen side, my flank pawns first at him. So I really do think I get the better end of this opening. He could consider this interesting move b5, attacking my queen, and if I take, then rook b8, and I'm already I'm already getting viciously attacked. So after b5, I guess I could take with the bishop. That's probably why he didn't do it. Then rook b8 is still pretty uncomfortable, but maybe I play a move like c3. And like so many sacrifices look like they're looming in the position, but maybe this was a way for him to be on the offense. I'm not super convinced. Like a6, and let's say I go bishop d3. Just like the sacrifice is it's like very close to working. Like even this, for example, would be mate. Actually, I don't know how to stop that. There is no way to stop that. So yeah, this is probably losing for me then. So b5 would have been an interesting move. But maybe I would have gone queen e4 and a5. So maybe I am worse in this position. Because it feels like his attack is breaking through pretty quickly, but maybe it's not. Maybe I play h4, and after a4, h5, and after b5, I can take. And if he takes, I can take, and then take here, and I probably break through moments away before he breaks through. Like I said, it's not easy. Like this position is not easy at all. But I do think probably objectively, according to the computer, I'm probably better. Because like I said, I have more space. This bishop is in his position. But it's anyone's game for sure. Plays rook d8, I play h4, and then I play h5. So I fully commit to the pawn storm. And the reason why I say I fully commit is because I lose a pawn with queen b6. It's just a fork. He's threatening b2, and he's threatening the pawn on f2. And I just commit. Well, I have to defend my my king first, and then I take on on g6. Not sure what else I could have done here. I think taking on h6 is the most principled. I don't see anything wrong with it. Yeah, I think it's fine. But yeah, after he takes back with the f pawn, I have to figure out how I'm going to continue. I think one thing I considered was rook d2, but then queen e1 check looked a little bit annoying to me, and after king c2, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. Like for example, he could play bishop d5, and my king's pretty naked here. I have to block, and then my rook's hanging. So this doesn't look that good. I guess I could go to b3, but this just looks wild. I mean, my bishop guards my rook, but why is my king out in the center like this? This just doesn't look very pleasant at all. So I thought about rook d2, but I thought against it. I'm going to go bishop d3 because now I can go rook d2, the back rank is covered. Maybe I can go rook h3 and try to double up on the f file or the h file. But he always has enough counterplay. Like he plays bishop d7, and my queen has very little squares to go to. I don't want to trade queens here. I'm down a pawn. Like I am down a pawn, so I need to make sure if I do trade queens, I have enough compensation for it. And I just don't quite see it in this position. Like if I play queen h4, after queen takes, rook takes, what do I have for the pawn that's lost? I have this extra space, but that's kind of it. But maybe that's okay. Like, I don't know, man. Like this pawn feels a bit weak, but maybe it's okay. I definitely don't want to play that move though. I do play queen b3 though, attacking the pawn, but I'm not going to take it, or else he'd checkmate me on the b file. He ends up deciding to go bishop g7, which he later on, he soon goes bishop f5 to trade light squared bishops, but he starts trading pieces, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, he is up a pawn, and he's like, I don't see the checkmate. You know, he just sees he's not getting checkmated, so he's like, I'm going to trade pieces. And I would love to throw in an in-between move, like rook d2, but then bishop takes, bishop, and he's pinning my rook to my king, so then I have to take back, and then like maybe this is okay still. But like I didn't really see the point. Like he could play king g7 with tempo, attacking the rook. Well, not now because his queen's hanging, I guess. But he might be able to play a queen e1 check, and I can't play a rook d1 because queen e3 is a fork, and I have to go up. But maybe this is okay for me. Maybe this is okay. But the issue is that like king g7, like I don't know where my rook belongs. It can't even go there. And my rook's almost trapped actually. It has to go here, which is so sad. This rook is so sad on h2. It's so strange. Very strange. But maybe this is okay because I'm going to go rook e2 next. And if he goes bishop f5 in this case, then I can probably just take and go. I could probably either take this pawn, which looks very, very risky, or play queen c4 and try to swing my queen this way. I'm also guarding e2, but maybe I could just go like rook here and queen and queen here. But in this case, he can force a trade of queens, which looks annoying, and but maybe I win my pawn back immediately. There's a lot of things to think about in this endgame. Definitely a lot of things to think about. If he tries to defend, if he tries to counterattack my pawn, then I can probably kick him out with b4. And if he tries to keep attacking it, I can play a4. And his rook is almost trapped. It is almost trapped for sure, but not quite. Like I can even try to focus on trapping it with the move b5, and his rook's almost out of squares. Yeah, like rook here, c4, rook check, here, a5 would trap his rook, for example. So yeah, maybe this rook is actually misplaced, and maybe this endgame is actually not that bad for me. I didn't go this deep though. Like, just the idea of getting the rook on h6 didn't look that appealing to me, and especially I don't have that much time to calculate it all. Like after bishop g7, he had 10 minutes, and after I took the bishop and played rook d2, I had 10 minutes. So we both gained pretty low on time, and there's still a lot more chess to be played, and we're both, opposite side castling, and we're both kings are weak. It's not super easy. He plays queen f4, pinning the rook to the king. I really want to double up on the h file, or the f file for that matter. Attack his queen. He moves his queen on this diagonal still. And I play king c2 to get out of this pin. Alternatively, I don't know what else to play. King d1 feels not good because of bishop g4. But maybe it's okay because after bishop blocks and bishop takes and rook takes, I win the e7 pawn. So he probably wouldn't take me, I guess. But it felt wrong, so king c2 felt more right, but maybe it wasn't. He plays bishop f5 with the idea that, like, yes, I can take on f5, but I cannot take a second time because of queen e4 check, winning my rook. And I genuinely did think about sacrificing the exchange. And I was like, yes, my control of the light squares are really strong, but like, he's just going to get his rooks in. Whoops. He's going to get his rooks in. And my queen, if my queen was already on like h4 or like g4, then like maybe we're talking here. But in this case, my queen's in no man's land. So I didn't believe in the sacrifice. Well, he does play bishop f5 though, and I do take. And I double up on the f file. It's kind of amazing how weak my king looks. It's actually kind of wild, but it's very simple. I'm just attacking the pawn. And now, at this point, I'm no longer annotating this game. We are both below 5 minutes here. I think he probably still has more than 5 minutes, but I'm below 5 minutes. And spoiler alert, we play another 60 moves. Probably closer to another 80 moves. I wasn't counting, but we were the last ones going with 1 second, 5 seconds on the clock for many, many, many moves. The tournament director started taking notes on how long it was because we were taking so long with our game. And it's game in 30, increment 5. So it really could last forever. I know it's taking a long time. But yeah, so I double up on the F file here. And he plays rook f8, defending the pawn, makes a lot of sense. And then I call his bluff, I take the pawn. Not really calling his bluff, but this pawn is hanging. Material is equal. I'm x-raying the king. So if this queen ever moves, this e-pawn will be hanging. And, he plays rook b8. And he actually has a very interesting idea. But, well, firstly, if queen d7, I definitely thought about it. I just wasn't 100% sure about it. In hindsight, I think queen d7 is probably not bad. I like how it attacks f5 once again. But I wasn't so sure about it during the game. That was queen e4 check, king c1. I don't know. This position is probably about equal because both of our kings are weak. But it's really hard to tell. I think I could have gone to queen to d7, but instead I go to queen a6. And he comes with this and now he plays rook b6. And this is where he has one little trick in this position, which if I play queen d3, he can play rook b2 check, deflecting my king away from the defense of my queen. So that's his one little trick in this position. So I don't fall for it. I go queen e2. And surprisingly, I genuinely thought he was going to trade queens at the first chance he got, but he didn't. I'm not 100% sure why he didn't. there's probably something he didn't like. I mean, he didn't have much time to calculate, but for example, like maybe he felt like these pawns were a bit hard to defend. Like for example, if you play rook b7, maybe I can probably double up on this f pawn, and if you try to defend it, I can play g4, breaking through. If you try to play actively, well, this comes with a check. That's not very good. And if you block, then this pawn also drops with check, which is also not good. So it's kind of tough to play. So, and he didn't have much time to calculate it. So he thought queen g5 made more sense. My king's still a bit naked here, and maybe he'll get some chances there. But now I play queen e6. Now I get into the position. I'm attacking the f5 pawn. I'm attacking e7. He plays f4. So he defends his pawn by pushing it forward. But now I just play g3. And this was a move I was proud of because, you know, I think at this point I literally had 5 seconds. And if he takes, of course, then he's just going to get checkmated very, very soon, like g2 and checkmate. And if he takes with the queen, well, now his queen no longer defends the e7 pawn, so I can take. And, oh, he has to play a move like rook f7 or something like that. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do now, but you know, his king's really, really weak. And I could probably play a move like queen e2. Threatening rook g1. And if he goes king h8, I can play rook g1 first, forcing the queen to move, and then queen e8, and it's just going to be checkmate. So it's really not easy for him if he takes this pawn. So he doesn't take the pawn, he plays queen e5. And here I take the pawn, because I don't want to take the pawn like this because he gets in. And like here, I'm just getting checkmated, actually. Or maybe I'm not getting checkmated. Wait, what? Queen check here, queen check here. Wait, am I not losing? How is this possible? Because if he takes with the rook, setting up checkmate, then check, takes, rook, king back, check, takes. Or we check here, and check here, and mate like this. But then, and if he goes back, then mate like this. Okay. So taking with the rook might. Oh wait, duh. His queen hangs. Taking with the rook is completely reasonable. Yeah, I missed with seconds on the clock that queen e2. He couldn't play it. And immediately after I took with the pawn, because when I say I had 5 seconds, I think it might have been an exaggeration. I think I had 1 second. But anyways, I still remember vividly, like in my head, if I close my eyes, I can still remember the way that I played g takes f4, and I started just shaking my head. Like I was just like, I visibly just like did put my hands up, put my hands down, and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Because that move is so bad. Like that move is so bad. Apparently, rook takes f4 is totally good. But I thought, even if he trades queens though, and then trades rooks, it's still tough to play. Although in this case, my pawn on e6 is really helping my rook. For example, he plays rook b5 trying to attack my pawn. I can play check here and win this. Whoops, and win this pawn, and then start winning all the pawns in this position. And I think I have a really good chance to win. Actually, yeah, I could probably just take this pawn if I want to, and then he'll have to defend his stuff. And then like it's not easy. This is not easy for him at all. Yeah, I'm definitely winning here. And if you try to defend your pawn, well, now you're playing passively, and I could probably just start bringing my king in. I'll probably be b3 and then start bringing my king in. And there's like no play in this position. There's like literally no play for black. So, oh my, I think I really should have taken with the rook, because now I'm threatening his rook. And there's nothing he can do. My gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, I should take him with the rook. During the game, I was like, oh man, I should have just played queen g4. That's what I should have played. And I do not think queen g4 is bad. Because let's say he goes king h8, for example. I'm going to take the pawn now, and my queen guards the e2 square. And if he takes, then I can take. And it's already very difficult to play. If he defends his back rank with his rook, I could consider rook e4, perhaps. After queen f6, I could consider rook e6. If he goes queen f2, then I could honestly consider, yeah, king d3 doesn't look that great because of rook takes b2, and the queen keeps guard of this diagonal. But like, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay. There's like queen c2 check. Oh, the queen's loose on g4. I have to go here. So if he goes here, I can go here. And if he goes here, I might be surviving with king here. And surprisingly, he's out of checks. Like literally, he's out of checks. That's crazy. And I'm one move away from checkmate. And if he defends against checkmate, then there's checkmate. There's checkmates all around. Wait, this position is it's totally winning for me. That's crazy. But no, I think rook takes f4 is much more clear. But instead, I'm a dummy dumb. I'm a dummy dumb. And I just take the pawn. He takes my queen. And now my rooks are not on the open file. They're stuck behind the pawn. And he just plays rook f5. Saying, hey, you can't push your pawn to defend your other pawn. And I'm going to win your e6 pawn. And there's like literally nothing I could do. And like I said, I was not notating. So this is all from memory. And it didn't exactly happen in this move order. But basically he wins my e6 pawn. I kick his rooks around. And like he eventually allows me to take. And like he at one point like gets a rook there. And then like he adds a lot of pressure. He has this really nice a5 move to completely tear down my queenside pawns. And I generate no counterplay here. I lose another pawn. And I am just simply down a pawn. And we play this position for at least 50 moves. Because we are just shuffling. We repeat multiple times. But I'm not notating. I can't claim, a threefold repetition. I'm not notating. And we just keep playing. And eventually, it is a draw. That was painful. I did not realize I was winning in this position. Yeah, I didn't realize I was winning in this position with rook takes f4. I didn't realize that. That's brutal. That hurts. But you know what? I'm gonna turn on the engine, run through the game again, and highlight a couple key parts, and then I'm gonna hit the game review, and we'll see what happens then. Yeah, bishop d2 was an inaccuracy. Yeah, bishop g5 was better. Ah, man, bishop g5. Like, immediately after I played bishop d2. Is e5 any good? e5 was really interesting. No. Why doesn't it work? Knight takes and queen c6 is what? Ah, it's a fork. Attacking both the queen and the pawn on f3. Knight b5, knight h5. After castles, I can play bishop g7 or take on f4. And it is really scary for black. But I guess black is just totally fine here, and they're just up a pawn at the end of the day. Okay, so it's nice to know that knight d5 was the best move. I mean, not that it was super hard. And this was all good. f4 was better. f4 is better. If bishop f6, oh, that's nice. d6. Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. This rook on d8 looks so stupid. And if black takes, like, they're never getting their bishop out. And I can play f5. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. And d5, I can take on d5 then. That's funny. The best line for the engine is rook takes b5 and rook takes. Just a rook doing its best Pac-Man impression is crazy. d6 is very nice. And of course, if bishop f6, then probably queen d4 here. And it's bad news bears for black. Very, very bad. Queen e4. I don't even know what queen e4 threatens. I have no idea. I guess h4, h5, and like bishop g3 at some point or something. So here, yeah, h4 was a mistake because the computer does not believe in gambiting the pawn. The computer doesn't believe that like this is good for white, and it says it's minus 0.7. Rook g2 is apparently the best move. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to do. This position is very pathetic for white. I don't want to be playing moves like that. Retreating moves like rook d2 and rook d1. So here he could have played bishop f4 check. And after bishop takes, queen takes, king b1, then probably bishop a4. Oh my gosh, bishop a4 is wild. Yeah, defended by the queen. That's a nice tactic. So I probably would have had. So I would have had to go rook d2. Sheesh. Wow. And now if bishop a4, I can probably take this pawn and probably try to get in. But instead, he tries to trade pieces, which makes a lot of sense. Rook d e1 was the best move. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because now it's so hard for him to defend this this e7 pawn. Whoops. And if he goes here, then I can take on b7, attacking the rook. And now I can even take this pawn. Oh, I can't take this pawn immediately. I can play rook e2. And he has to trade queens here. If he doesn't trade queens and goes back, then he's probably just losing a second pawn. And I'm just in a completely winning position. I have two passed pawns on the side of the board. His pieces are defensively in the center, which is interesting. So rook d e1 was the way to go. Ah, man. Instead, I go like this. He gets into my position. He goes for another trade. Interesting. Queen b5. Setting up rook e2 and taking on e7. And if he plays passively by like defending this pawn, probably go, wow, king b1 is the best move. That's wild. But a3 as well is fine. Just playing it slowly. Rook e2 is also fine. This is funny. This is a funny engine line where a6, queen c4, b5, both queens are hanging. White sacrifices the queen, a desperado. So if black takes, white takes, and white is up a pawn. Or no, what material is equal, I guess. So after white takes, it wants black to sacrifice the queen like this. King takes, white takes, and king b4, winning this pawn, trying to win this pawn. This is a wild engine line. That's pretty wild. So here, I'm much better in this position. Queen e2 is not great, but not bad. Much better. Rook f4 was the move. Blocking off the queen. I played the worst possible move in this position. The worst possible move. And man, like, yeah. And I immediately go astray here in this endgame. Immediately. And I'm just much, much worse. Anyways, I'm going to end it here. I've been recording for too long. I will see you guys in the next one.